Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Bay Area Content Marketing Meetup. We're also co-hosting today with the San Francisco Content Strategy Content Marketing Meetup. We are going to be talking, let me share my screen right now. We're going to be talking about establishing an internal marketing AI council. Let's see, let me put this into slide share mode. With us today, we have Suzanne Ambiel and Michelle Moore, two people who I consider pioneers in the world of AI governance, and they're going to share how to establish a council and what the benefits are. Hold on a second. Let me go to slideshow. Here we go.
The big button that says slideshow.
There we go. Okay.
Michelle,
take it away, Suzanne. Michelle.
Oh, yes. Welcome, welcome. Next slide. So this is our intro slide. Some of you may recognize it from 2 weeks ago, a fun selfie that Suzanne and I took of ourselves on our way to an in-person meetup a month or so ago. So about me, I'm Michelle Moore. I was with VMware for 9 years. Last day was Monday, I guess. And that was where I got the privilege of meeting Suzanne and Rich and many other stellar people. And more notably, earlier on this year at VMware, I joined our nascent Marketing AI Council back in February. And that is going to be the topic of our discussion today. So that's been just really a great focal area for me over these past few months. As some of you know, we've had this looming acquisition of VMware by Broadcom and lots of uncertainty and stalled projects and unclear future. And so having this council where we could really just move very quickly and make a big impact across all of marketing and have like a passion project to do in addition to our day jobs was super fulfilling. And honestly, it made all the difference this year. So on to Suzanne.
Thanks, Michelle. Next slide, Dennis. You'll recognize the picture. Yes, that's me next to Michelle. And my arm really isn't that big. I just, my kids are still like, Mom, you don't know how to do a selfie. Still, really? Still? I'm like, yeah, still. Former VMware generative AI arm. Yeah, does look like one, doesn't it, Rich? Former VMware. Yeah, Monday was my last day as well. So Michelle and I are free birds. 13 years at VMware, never thought I'd be there that long. I spent a lot of time with open source marketing and strategy, brand strategy, B2B marketing tactics, all of that. And most recently, the Gen AI stuff. I'm a former member of VMware's Marketing AI Council, the Legal AI Working Group, and the CTO AI Advisory Council. And you may be wondering, why so many? Hold that thought. I'm a former Linux Foundation and Linux Foundation Research Advisory Board member. I'm a current board member of the Los Altos Library Endowment. I am an avid cyclist, just to ask Rich. Go everywhere, undaunted into the wilderness. And I'm absolutely thrilled to be here. We had such a great time. Last time we spoke, we're back again, and you can expect to see Michelle and I again and again and again, because this is really cool. Next slide. Okay, agenda, introduction. Well, we just did that. So let's skip to why form an AI council. Then we'll talk about our case study and a blueprint for you. And then we'll open it up for Q&A. And then we have a slide with some resources. So why form an AI council? Before we do that, I want to just do level set. How many of you are using Gen AI tools for and at work? Raise your hand, raise your little hand, hand. More than one, keep your hand up. Okay, more than two?
For work or in general?
So people are using them. Raise your hand if the tool you're using is formally approved by your company. How many of you are using a tool ad hoc and maybe off the reservation? Yeah, that's what I thought. AI just kind of took us by storm. And, we're going to talk a little bit about what that feels like and why you need an AI council to help you do this well and do this right and scale it appropriately. do any of you have an AI council at your company organization right now that kind of oversees all of this? Anybody? Rosemary, your hand is still up. Yeah. Okay. All right. So there's some opportunity here to kind of change the landscape. So next slide. Let's talk about what a marketing or an AI council really is. It's simply put, it's a group of like-minded individuals with a passion and a business need, important to underscore, business need to lead AI adoption and foster those best practices. And as you look at the landscape within your own company, large or small, you may need both a functionally organized AI council as well as an organizational one. So they're slightly different. They overlap and intersect. At VMware, our marketing AI council focused specifically on marketing needs and our use cases, which is largely around content generation, brand compliance, and quality and accuracy. But we leaned on the legal AI working group, which I sat on that council that looked at AI from a legal point of view for all use cases, whether they were in development for code, for marketing for content and copyrights, for purchasing and third-party contracts, for indemnification. I always stumble on that word, too many syllables. Product inclusion, what it meant to customers, privacy and security. We leaned into the office of the CTO for technical evaluations of the various tools and the LLMs to make sure that we were abiding by more broad company guidance around privacy, security, data integrity, and things of that nature. So again, we had multiple AI working groups, and we made sure that we were cross-pollinating, because I'm not a lawyer, but they're not marketing people. So again, an AI council is there to help you set those guidelines and help you understand how to use AI and when to use it. So let's take a look at what that is all about. So your AI council, whether it's a marketing or legal or CTO or all of the above, is going to help you to do what? To enable your company to harness AI in a safe and ethical way, to establish those guidelines and best practices, basically to set up the guardrails. When the guardrails are there, people know how to operate. Salesforce did a survey recently, and it came back with that more than 50% of people were using Gen AI at work, but they were using it without training, without guidance, and without any company approval of the tool that they were using. So really operating in a rogue state. And you can put your company and your reputation at risk by doing that. So it's important to have these guidelines so that you as an individual are protected, and that you as an individual are protecting the company's IP. The other thing that AI Council is going to help you do is to help you deliver and really respond to the business needs and deliver value to the business. This will help you avoid using technology for technology's sake. You know, it's that shiny thing syndrome that people always chase. You know, there's a quote in a recent McKinsey article that I read. I subscribed to their AI Thought Leadership newsletter. And the quote goes like this: Gen AI is a bit of a super technology, but it shouldn't distract us from the problems the business needs to solve. So again, the use of Gen AI should be rooted in business results. At VMware, we had a specific business need that instigated our initial adoption of Gen AI. And Michelle's going to go through that with you and help you understand how we rooted our use, growth, and scaling of Gen AI in the business results we were trying to achieve. So again, Gen AI is fantastic and magical, but again, we're using it to deliver business results. And how will you measure that and how you will deliver that value? So Michelle, can you talk a little bit about that? How an AI council can help you do that? Go back slide.
Sorry, back slide. We're not quite there yet. We're on the third topic here. Yes, coordinating and prioritizing AI projects. So a key function of an AI council can be and should be to really connect the dots among various users, various teams who are pursuing different use cases for AI, and also to help onboard and present ideas and inspiration to those who may not be leveraging AI yet for various use cases. So it goes both ways. Now, in our case, we were able to, as our council grew, and we'll talk more about that in a minute, we had different leaders across different teams and functions pursuing various use cases. And then the council was the place with our weekly meetings, with our weekly, working and reports where we could aggregate all of those results and then report out on them. So that was a really important function to make sure that we were being methodical about what we're doing, and also so that we could pivot, we could share learnings, we could share positive results, we could share, cases in which we weren't getting, awesome outcomes, and okay, well, maybe this isn't the best use case, maybe this is something that we're better off doing a different way, and that's fine. But it was really important to be able to have that visibility, and also to be able to aggregate results and share them up the chain. And then in terms of building an education and training plan, so really our charter, our AI Council charter was really twofold. And it was very much about enabling the safe, ethical, responsible, effective use of AI in marketing, and reskilling and upskilling employees to do so. So, of course, as people, you're dealing with people who are both resistant to AI, thinking, oh, well, that's not for me. Why would I use that? And people who are feeling threatened by AI. So, and having a council, having a forum, and being able to share insights and results and ideas goes a long way toward helping to alleviate those fears, toward giving people a starting point, giving people ideas as to how they might use AI in their daily, work life, and just providing kind of that safe starting point, so they realize, hey, this can be part of my job. This doesn't have to replace me, but it can actually help me do better work, not just automate certain tasks, but potentially elevate the type of work that I do and the output that I give to my job. So now let's move on to the next slide. And I wanted to spend just a few minutes telling our story. And we're missing January.
Can you advance one more? If there's a hidden, there we go.
Oh,
we're good. We're good.
There was a build. I didn't even, how did I do that?
Oops.
I think I had planned initially a build and then quickly abandoned it. Anyway, so just want to tell our story. And again, this isn't really to toot our own horn. It's more that we are still amazed that the efforts that started in our organization way back in January were so informal, so grassroots, and turned and so quickly snowballed into something a lot bigger and impactful that we're still just really surprised by that. So the reason we want to share this is because it just underscores the fact that starting something is so much more important than being frozen in fear, inertia, hesitation, whatnot. So really, we just leaned into the curiosity and went for it. And so how it all started back in January, again, Suzanne discovered quite by accident that somebody was onboarding Jasper, a generative AI tool you probably are familiar with. Somebody was onboarding and piloting it at VMware. And she thought, oh, should we look into this? Is this going to be brand compliant? Are there legal and security concerns? Are they going through all the right channels? Yada yada. So Suzanne reached out, located the business owner for this. Turned out to be a colleague named Jessica on the demand gen side of marketing, and she's the woman holding the Gen AI pillow in that photo. And Jessica was thrilled to have some participation from brand. And so we quickly started coordinating with her. She gave us seats, early access on the pilot, got us free tickets to the Gen AI conference that Jasper hosted in February. And we were off and running. So that those initial conversations led to a first meeting of the minds in February. Again, this was just an informal meeting of like, let's talk about this. Let's exchange some thoughts and ideas. But because there was such an appetite for discussion, that meeting very quickly became a weekly meeting, which turned into a council. And the first real accomplishment of our council was in putting forth a set of guidelines. The reason being, of course, that we realized through our discussions and through some just kind of online, sleuthing, people were already using ChatGPT at VMware. A lot of people were using that. And, several months ago, people were not so aware of the security implications and privacy concerns, all that. And so we knew that we needed to put something on paper. So even though this was a very preliminary effort, we understood the importance of providing people with some initial guidelines, some do's and don'ts, and importantly, letting them know that we were in the process of onboarding a tool that they would be able to use safely and effectively at VMware. So even though it wasn't available to all of marketing for a couple more months, we let people know that that was coming, provided as many details as we could, and provided a forum for them to receive updates and have conversations. So we started a Slack channel, all that stuff. But importantly, we published those first guidelines in late March. And then we held our first training and enablement session. And we were able to bring on a speaker from the Marketing AI Institute, Paul Reitzer, who's the founder and CEO of that, to do a live session in late March. And that really kickstarted our learning and enablement journey. So as the council grew, we pulled in more people cross-functionally. We had legal representation. We had our some members from our learning and enablement team, from marketing ops, from the digital team. And so pretty soon we were able to represent all of the various functions within marketing and assign functional leads. And so that really got us going and on our way to becoming a truly cross-functional organization that was tracking and measuring against specific use cases. And importantly to note that the Office of the CTO tapped into our council to kickstart a corporate-wide council. So Suzanne became our rep for the broader corporate AI council that was established by our CTO.
Yeah, we in the Marketing AI Council, we're very proud of the fact that we beat the CTO to the punch on this council. We were months ahead of them, and they looked to us to understand what is it we should be thinking about. So we were first. We're pretty proud of that.
All right, next slide. Thank you, Dennis. So the impact. So fast forward, into October, when, as you can see on the right, we got this amazing validation. We received the Gold Marcom Award for the collective impact that our AI Council had in VMware over the past, many months. And so I highlighted just a few of those on the left because they do kind of tell a story of how we were able to advance our initial charter for responsible AI adoption and education across VMware. So after creating those initial guidelines, we completed the pilot of Jasper. We were able to get our CMO on board as our exec sponsor. And by doing that, that also led to getting more, resources and credibility. And so we were able to extend our Jasper license and onboard hundreds of VMware marketers and contractors across the globe. And more importantly, train them on Jasper. So our CMO was very much on board with our charter of reskilling and upskilling employees. She felt that that was absolutely should be the bedrock of our council. So we were in violent agreement on that, and really poured a lot of time and energy into holding those live training sessions, making them available online, having weekly Jasper office hours for people to come and ask questions, and just getting everybody excited about being able to use this to do their jobs better and to discover new ways to work. So that also led to an all-day in-person leadership summit that we held in June. Was it June, Suzanne? I think it was June or July. It might have been July.
It was July. Yeah.
Yeah.
July.
And as a part of that, that leadership summit, we had a breakout brainstorming session. And from that came some new use cases identified and that we began to pilot. And so again, the council provided that essential function of being able to have kind of these satellite arms, use case leads in various functions to drive and to track and report on their various use cases. And then the results that we collected, again, provided further validation, which led to more visibility, more resources, and being able to extend our work further. We also launched a newsletter, got everybody certified with this very extensive training course from the Marketing AI Institute. And then also from a brand perspective, it was really important to us that our AI writing tool was able to speak in our voice and tone. So we trained it to do so. That was my use case that I was driving was, brand alignment, brand compliance, quality of output and of writing. So we fed Jasper our entire marketing style guide, messaging docs, voice and tone guidelines. We gave it examples of our voice and tone in action. And then importantly, also trained some of the teams that were really power users of Jasper to create demand gen copy, making sure that they were working closely at the, both at the beginning and the end of their cycle so that we had the optimal mix of like machine and human output. And got great results from that. So we have a quick snapshot of that on the next slide as well. And not to belabor the point, but again, the time savings, these numbers are often really the easiest to achieve. This is like the low-hanging fruit. I mean, everybody knows that AI can automate certain repetitive tasks and just save gobs of time. But for me personally, I'm much more interested in really the value that you can gain from the strategy, the planning, the research, the summarization, all of those other wonderful things that you can get by using AI. For me, writing is actually the least glamorous use case because I like to write and I'm not always, 100% excited about the output I get from AI. So there's iteration that needs to take place, but the value gained is just remarkable to see. Again, when you have that human in the loop, then you get so much better results. And that was something we were able to really quantify through some of these pilots.
Yeah, just a little sidebar comment on that, Michelle. It's all great stuff. And, I really reflect on the fact that someone once called Gen AI a time machine. And it's a time machine in that AI creates more time for us. It gives us, the marketers, the content creators, the writers, the creators, it gives us time back to do better work, not just more work, right? This is an opportunity for you to do better work by really jumping into that AI and being the human in the loop. That's one of the key guidelines that Michelle worked on and really honed over time, was to make sure that people understood you're not abdicating your job to the Gen AI bot. You must be engaged and involved and give it the right prompts, craft the final results, edit, check, validate, all of that. You cannot excuse yourself from the role. So great stuff.
Thanks, Suzanne. Next slide. And this is the final like yay us slide, I promise. But again, we just can't believe that this happened because we started off as a group of people who had never really done any public speaking before. But because suddenly we had a story to tell, we discovered people really wanted to hear that story. So the first big speaking opportunity came when our colleague Jessica, who had founded the council, was invited to do a main stage presentation at MACON, which is the annual conference hosted by Marketing AI Council. And so that picture in the middle you see with our host, Paul Reitzer there, right after her session. And that got her so much visibility that suddenly she was being asked to to speak at various podcasts and other online and in-person events. And she started looping the rest of us in. So I was able to participate in some of those events as well, which was super fun. Again, a new thing for me, not a public speaker. So I'm trying to hone my skills through these meetups and such, because it's great fun. It really is. And again, we kept thinking, how could we possibly be ahead of the curve? Because we felt like things are happening so quickly in this space. It's so hard to keep up. You always feel like, oh my gosh, I must be so behind. And then you talk to other people and realize everyone's trying to figure this out. It is a fast moving space. There are so many opportunities. There are so many potential pitfalls. You can't go at it alone. And so, these speaking opportunities really kind of expanded our virtual community. And that's a big takeaway that I wanted to share, is that there are communities out there and you can find your people. And we've provided a link in the resources slide as well. And I'm more than happy to talk offline to anybody who wants to find a community, whether it be like a big Slack channel or a smaller group that meets together and keeps talking about this. And on a side note, since the vast majority of us were laid off on Monday, we, before the layoff date came, we had already started our council at VMware. We had already started like a separate Slack channel for us to stay connected. We moved our meetings to somebody's like personal Zoom meeting. So we're still meeting once a week. We didn't want to lose the momentum. We know that we're all going to be going off and land, in different directions, but we're all very much committed to staying at the forefront of the space to the best of our ability, continuing to share learnings and insights. So we're staying connected, and wherever we all land, we're still a team. So that's our story.
Next slide.
And I'm going to pass it back to Suzanne.
Thanks, Michelle. Yeah, it's been a whirlwind. Faster moving waters I have never experienced. This is just moving so quickly, and the whole hoo-ha around OpenAI and Sam Altman. Is he part of it? Is he not? Is he back? All of that. Just every day, it's a new bit of information, and you will feel overwhelmed. We still feel overwhelmed. Pace yourself. Just try and follow along. So to wrap it up, here's your marketing AI council, or just an AI council. Take the word marketing out if you're not in marketing. Here's how you do it. Just start the conversation. Find out who is using it, who's engaged in this, who is following it. Create a forum, gauge the interest, understand who's using what tools and for what use cases, and are they rogue or are they approved? How do you get approvals? Who should be in the loop? Just start the conversation. And once you start that conversation, it starts to snowball. Other people hear about it. We started our marketing AI council, and we bumped into people in our various business units and IT and legal and purchasing that wanted to be part of it. And we said, sure, join in. You all have something to bring to the conversation. So again, bring those people together, start the conversation. Then define your purpose, goals, and composition. Why are you there? What are you going to do? What's your mission and objectives? Are you going to be focused on training? Are you going to be focused on evaluation? What's your primary purpose? Then look around the room and say, who's missing? Early on, we noticed, wait a minute, we don't have anybody from comms on our council. We need somebody from corporate comms. Got somebody from corporate comms. We didn't have anybody from legal. We got somebody from legal to sit in on our meetings. So again, we started to cross-pollinate and make sure we had a well-composed, cross-functional set of people on our marketing AI council. Then secure that executive sponsorship. Super important if you want to scale this thing and get it adopted and funded and resourced and endorsed. Once we got our CMO to endorse it, the floodgates opened. It became a required bit of training for all marketers. They had to go through the beginning steps of marketing AI by August. So that's how we got everybody on board, because our CMO said, do it. Then look at developing those AI usage policies and guidelines. Consult with legal and IT to make sure you're covering all of the different aspects of security, privacy, and IP. Somebody's typing. Clearly define what employees can and can't do with which tools. There's tools for everything. Our legal department used a different one. Our technical people used another type of engine. So again, one size does not fit all. Make sure you're ready to understand that and accept that it won't just be Jasper or just Writer or just Bard or just Anthropic or just. There will be multiple ones. Definitely provide training and upskilling. Make sure people understand how to use it, when to use it. Teach the employees. Lean on the vendors that you're buying this service from. And don't forget to also train your AI engine, your tool. Michelle did mention at the very end of the previous conversation that we spent a lot of time with Jasper feeding it the things we wanted it to know, because we wanted to make sure that the output was unique, was reflected our VMware voice and tone, our personality. So make sure you're training your AI as well. And then share those achievements and learnings. Have a central point where you're collecting that data that proves this is delivering business value. Because when you start showing that business value in those results up the chain, that opens up what? More resources, gives you more credibility, visibility. Our CMO shared what we had done in marketing with our COO, who then shared it with the CEO. And our CEO came back to the Marketing AI Council and said, kudos to all of you, well done. So we got some important visibility company-wide on the work that we had done based on the business results that we delivered. Not all the use cases, but the ones that delivered clear business results. Super important for all of you. So give me that next slide, Dennis. I think that's that is the raise your hand. Oh, my words of advice. And I think, Michelle, you would endorse this too. Don't wait. Start now. Start the conversations in your company, in your department. Find out who's using what have they learned, what are they using it for, what are they worried about, what doesn't worry them. Start that conversation, and you will soon find that council starting to form. And you may form your own little group only to find out there's another one over there. Great, join hands. Start to figure this all out so that you're all using it responsibly, ethically, and delivering business results and not leaving your people behind. Next slide. So, who's got questions? I see one in the chat already. I'll jump on that one. It is, I'm scrolling down here. Rosemary asks, what did the workflow look like for getting Jasper approved? Did you start by getting the budget approved, or did you go to IT? When did legal come in? So here's how it kind of went down. And the person that started it all, Jessica Hrira, and her colleague, Mila, it started with Mila, who was albeit a junior employee, I think you would say that, a beginning level career marketer, who said, hey, these agencies are taking way too long. This is back in November of last year. What's this Chat GPT thing? And that from there, her curiosity led her to Jasper. And from there, Mila went to her manager, Jessica, and said, hey, I think we can save money by adopting this tool. What do you think? Jessica went to her manager and said, hey, I want budget to try this out. Very limited pilot. And she was able to unlock funding for that limited pilot. That's when I went, what? That's what turned my head. I'm like, is this going to be brand compliant? Let's find out what's going on. And so it started with getting the budget, Rosemary. And in order for Jessica's team to onboard Jasper, they had to go through an extensive supplier onboarding process that included very extensive security and privacy reviews, technical reviews on how they preserve, protect data, how this would be installed, how employees would access it. It was painful, to say the least, for Jasper to get through that. As a part of that supplier vetting, legal did come in, and they vetted the contracts to make sure they were approved from the legal point of view, and we had indemnification on that. This initial onboarding of Jasper then triggered our CISO, our Chief Information Security Officer, and our legal teams to join hands to develop a customized tool in-house to onboard and evaluate, vet, and approve all Gen AI and AI tooling. Remember that Gen AI is entering the workforce in some very I'll call them insidious ways. At VMware, we had so many tools that were already pre-approved, whether it was Zoom or whether it was Workboard or Workfront or you name it. These were approved tools, but these approved tools started to add Gen AI aspects to them. And those were not approved. But yet, because the employees said, well, it's Zoom, so I can use the Gen AI in it, right? Not necessarily. So that's when our CISO got involved and they started evaluating all the tool sets and all the vendors for all the new features and functions of approved tools that were being added. So again, we were a spark to develop new workflows, Rosemary. Hopefully that answered your questions. And regarding tips for dealing with IT and legal, start early. Start
Yeah,
early.
and I mean, granted, VMware is a huge enterprise company,
Right.
so of course, onboarding a new software vendor, it's a rigorous process. But I mean, the good news is that if you're looking at Jasper, they do, check all the boxes when it comes to security and privacy and compliance and such. So,
And
Rosemary,
Michelle, yeah. So how long did that take? How long did that onboarding of a
3 months.
tool? 3 months. Oh, that's not bad. That's
3
not bad.
months. Yeah. It started in November, December. By the end of January, they had the initial licenses approved and Jasper approved in a limited instance. And then after the council got started and we started kind of putting better boundaries around it and getting the executive sponsor, that unlocked the funding and gave our executive stakeholders trust in what we were doing, that we were bounding this activity. And so that enabled us to unlock more licenses and a secure, an SSO sign on to the tool. So again, stepwise.
Thank you.
Sure. Okay, let's see. What will happen to your initiatives at VMware? David, that's an excellent question. We're no longer with VMware. Broadcom is now the company. We don't know. Many of the marketing people that were using Gen AI and delivering these results were part of the broad scale shrinking or layoffs, if you will. So we don't really know what's going to happen. We know that Jessica Rira, who was the leader of the AI Council, was contacted by someone from Symantec. How did you do this? You'll know that Symantec is owned by Broadcom. So there is interest peaked. We just don't know where it's going to go under the new leadership. So I can't really answer the question. Anyway, let's see.
but we plan to.
Brian Piper, you have your hand raised. Brian, what's your question?
So did VMware come up with AI usage guidelines, and was the council directly involved in creating those?
Yes and yes.
Yes, this was actually the topic of our last meetup. And yeah, that was our first milestone back in March. I'm not sure if you joined late, but yes, we published those guidelines late in March. And that was a big step toward raising visibility and also just attracting some, attention toward, more safe options and raising awareness of, privacy and security concerns that people might not have been really paying attention to.
And John, you said, do we have a link to that? Actually, the link that you want to use is go back to the slide that has the Gold Award in it. And that Gold Award has a link there, and you can go to that page and see all of our guidelines and our standards and whatnot. And you can really take a look at that. And then if you have any further questions, feel free to reach out to Michelle and I, and we'd be happy to answer your questions.
Well, and our guidelines aren't published externally because we publish those internally. So the award, itemizes some of our accomplishments and milestones and such, but our guidelines were published internally.
Mm-hmm.
However, in our last meetup, we did provide like a template and some examples and such for creating your own policy and guidelines.
Lisa, can you
definitely check that out.
Yeah, Lisa says, can you talk about the role of use case leads? I'm interested in how marketers feel there are contexts they can reach out to understand their specific tasks. So Lisa, great question. We had sort of subject matter experts lead the use cases. So if you were doing search, or if you were doing demand gen, or if you were doing, very specific tactical projects, they were the use case leads for Gen AI, and then came back to the council and said, here's what I learned, here's what worked and didn't work. So, very specific, tactically oriented. We had one person who was an adjunct member of the council who did a lot of customer stories, and she kind of led the squad on how do you use Gen AI to streamline and accelerate the production of customer stories. How do you use it to help with the transcripts, help to summarize, help to brainstorm key points, all of that. She was the lead for coaching people on how to do that.
That's great. Thank you. As you detected, what I wondered is, in a large organization, not everybody is a part of the council, but do people feel then somebody who knows this role has been involved? So you kind of extend without having to make the council too big and too unwieldy.
Correct.
Yeah.
Right. We saw our council grow, and then it was like, ooh, we're gonna get too big. Let's pause. Let's understand why we exist and what we're here for, and how we then sort of syndicate that out into these tactical projects and teams. So that's how we did that.
Yeah, and we did define a charter and some goals, and we published a page on our intranet site, about our council, which linked to the page that contained our guidelines. And so again, that was just a way that we, kind of formalized as we grew and evolved.
And then Dave, you have a question on how to inspire sales to participate and the managers to take the time. Ooh, sales is tough, or sales could be really easy. We found a lot of salespeople jump on this really quickly. They found this to be extraordinarily useful. And if you go to the Marketing AI Institute, there's a whole segment or module dedicated to how to use Gen AI for sales. So I would recommend you go there and take a look at that. And Dennis, we have one more slide that's got resources on it. If we could pop that up, that'll show people where to go and get more information. There you go, Marketing AI Institute, go there. I referred to a Salesforce survey. It was a blog on unapproved tool usage. So go take a look at the data there and take a look at the links that are in that blog. Very interesting. I follow McKinsey and their AI thought leadership. There's dozens of articles that they have produced. I link to one of them there. Don't stop there. Keep digging and peeling the onion back at McKinsey. Some great stuff there, and Deloitte. I didn't add that one in there, but they're publishing some very interesting things. I also linked to the Wall Street Journal's weekend article, Do's and Don'ts of Gen AI in the Workplace. I read that this weekend and laughed and said, we've been talking about this for a year now. They point at bias, about protecting your IP, about being choosy about which AI to use, about trust and accuracy, and how important that is, especially for marketers, because kind of the coin of the realm for us is trust. And we got to make sure that what we produce is trustworthy. And then I provided that link at the very end to the Amazon AI Ready training modules. I haven't gone through them, but I hear they're good. So take a peek and see what you think. And that's all I've got. Michelle, any closing words?
Yeah, in terms of finding a community to really dive deep on various AI use cases, tools, technologies, and such, the Marketing AI Institute, I believe it's that URL, but then just add community. And then you can request to join their Slack channel. And they've got a few thousand people on their Slack channel, but they do have some really great conversations, and it's well moderated. So I definitely recommend that if you're looking for a starter community.
And Michelle and Suzanne, I will post a link to these slides to the update. I've got a question on whether this link, the slides can be shared beyond, like, can they post it to their LinkedIn profile? Is that okay?
Sorry, my audio got a bit garbled, so I only heard the part about linking LinkedIn profile.
Oh, so I'm going to post these slides to our meetup group, and I got a question on whether they can be further shared outside the meetup group.
Oh, yeah, we don't have anything confidential in here. I mean, everything that's in here has been is publicly available as well, like Our results were also listed on the Marcom award page.
Great.
And then Carla asked one final question. Can you talk a bit more about the Marketing AI Institute certification? I specifically, Carla, I could go into lots of detail. We don't have time. I would just recommend go to the Marketing AI Institute and look up their certification. Both Michelle and I took that certification. I would highly recommend it. I think it's
About $4.99.
$4.99.
I mean, there is a cost.
There's a cost. There's 16 modules. It took a bit of time to go through, but it was very well worth it if you need a good introductory launch pad for your understanding.
Yeah.
So yeah.
But they also do offer bi-monthly piloting marketing intro to marketing AI 101. So they offer twice a month these live workshops. I think they're 30 minutes or so, and they're really good. So those are free. Go ahead and sign up. I think the next one is going to be December 15th or yeah. So you'll find those on their website as well. So there are some freely available resources.
All right. Any other questions from the crowd? It's great to be here.
Well,
And
Suzanne and Michelle, yeah, thank you so much for joining us. A quick plug for next week. The next meetup is Rosemary, who's here on the Zoom. She's going to demo the latest in ChatGPT and other tools. So check our meetup page for the details.
Thanks, Dennis.
All right, thanks everyone.
thank you. Have a
Have
great
a good
day.
one.
Bye.
Bye.